My review of the AC/DC album Powerage. This album came out in 1978 and it was produced by Vanda and Young, like the last couple AC/DC albums I've reviewed. This was their first album with Cliff Williams on bass, so kind of completes like the classic instrumental lineup of AC/DC. This was actually the first AC/DC album I bought on my own. It was one of the few that my dad didn't have for some reason, and like I had a friend also that had a bunch of AC/DC albums, and like pretty much every one that my dad didn't have, he had, but he didn't have this one either. So I ended up finding it and buying it, and it's basically been one of my favorite AC/DC albums ever since. The first song, Rock and Roll Damnation, is just a great like opening track. I really like the guitar riff on it. Like I've said before, it seems like any time the AC/DC mentions like rock in a song, it's almost like one of the good songs on the album. The second song, Down Payment Blues, is kind of another one of their like slow bluesier songs, which they didn't really have on their last album, Let There Be Rock, but I'm like kind of glad that they did that again on this album. So Down Payment Blues for me is kind of a highlight. I like Bon's lyrics on it a lot. Actually, I feel like Bon was probably the best lyricist of the band because, you know, when he was in the band, he wrote the lyrics, and then Brian Johnson wrote the lyrics for a while, I think up until Blow Up Your Video, when he was the band's lead singer, and then after that I think Angus and Malcolm wrote them. And I feel like Bon's just like, I don't know, something about them just a little bit better than the other guys' lyrics. Not that their lyrics are like, I mean, AC/DC doesn't have like a lot of like real like intellectual lyrics or anything anyway, but I don't know, for as far as AC/DC lyrics go, I feel like Bon was their best lyricist, and this is like kind of his best album at that, I feel like. Kind of rambling. The third song, Give Me a Bullet, is another one I really like. I love the guitar riff on it. It's got some cool bass that kind of stood out to me when I was listening to it. And I really like Bon's vocal on that one, so just another really good track. The fourth song, Riff Raff, it just has an awesome intro. The guitar solo on it, just like all the guitars on it, are just really awesome. Also, I really like the drum parts on it. Just like another really great AC/DC song. Close, I'm not sure. It's kind of, for me, I don't know what I think the best song on this album is. I'm gonna have to think about that for a minute. The fifth song, Sin City, a song that this might be the best song. I think is the best song on the album. Now that I get to it, I don't know though. Yeah, I'm gonna say I think Sin City is probably my favorite song on this album, which I don't know if I said my favorite songs on the other albums leading up to this. I don't know. Maybe someday I'll do a video of like my favorite song from every album. But anyway, so Sin City, just a good like catchy hard rock song. It's got a cool guitar solo. Yeah, it's just I really like that song. The sixth song, What's Next to the Moon, is kind of a different song for them. It has another interesting lyric from Bon. I think I like the guitars on it pretty well too, from what I remember. It's not one of the tracks that I remember that well from, honestly, from when I would listen to it, this album, when I was younger, because I always kind of, back then, would lose a little bit of interest about 5 songs into like any album I was listening to. So that's definitely something that's changed as the years have gone on, though. So the seventh song, Gone Shootin', is just another song that I really like the riff, and it's just was a really cool song, I thought. The eighth song, Up to My Neck in You, sounds. Sorry, I'm like trying to read my notes because I didn't listen to this before I filmed the review again. I was finding like a hard time getting like enough time to sit down and do these videos and like listen to the CDs at the same time. So I've been having to listen to the albums a couple of days before I film the videos. So I'm kind of forgetting a little bit what some of these sound like off the top of my head. Anyway, the 8th song, Up to My Neck and You. This was one that I thought sounded almost like it could have been on Let There Be Rock, because it was kind of just has a heavier sound, at least from what I remember. But I didn't find it to be one of the more memorable tracks on the album, but I still liked it. And then the 9th and final track, Kicked in the Teeth. I thought this one was pretty cool. It kind of started with like Baum would like sing something and then the band like does, plays. That was kind of a cool way to start the song, I thought. And it was a good song with some good guitar parts. Still not probably one of the more memorable songs, but pretty good. So this album, like, overall, like, every song on it I like. I do think that like the first half of the album is a little bit stronger maybe than the second half, a little bit more memorable at least. But overall, just a really solid album. I don't know. This might be like my favorite album by AC/DC that's not Back in Black or Highway to Hell. I don't know though for sure, because it's been a while since I've listened to some of the other ones. But yeah, Powerage, definitely a really good AC/DC album. Definitely recommend checking it out sometime if you haven't heard it.